No. Hi,
Okay,
everybody.
I think hello. I think we are. So let's see what it says. Nope. If you're seeing us, just let us know. We're trying to figure that out. I don't see us yet.
There we go. All set. And it says the right thing, at least in my group. So, hi, guys,
Okay.
from our group.
Okay. So just so everybody knows, we were not sure if we were talking about imposter syndrome today or giving you a surprise announcement in Black Friday offers because Restream didn't want to update the description. So
Oh, tech
the surprise
friend.
announcement is that we get to talk about imposter syndrome.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, imposter syndrome. I don't know. Where should we even start here?
I was good. What if we started with like our own battles with it and how like what the best? Well, let's do this, Lori. What was the best thing that you learned to deal with your imposter syndrome, or that you use to help coach your people that have imposter syndrome?
Oh God. Okay. There's probably like so many things, honestly. But um, honestly, the thing that works best for most people is to help them really truly understand their zone of genius. Like, and because the thing is so many, like so many of you that I work with that come to me are in this like state of almost like paralyzation. Is there paralyzation? Is that a word?
It's a word today. It's a
Okay,
word
okay.
today. Surprise announcement. New word. New
Yeah,
word for
and
the
like
day.
I ask you like, okay, what do you do? How do you help people? And it's like really like one of the most basic things, right? Like that we learn as entrepreneurs in the online space, your I help statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're just so paralyzed because they feel like an imposter, and a lot of times it's because they've started actually doing this and they have gotten into this point of like feeling wrong. So honestly, like getting back to basics, to what you are here, what you're meant to do, and having you actually just reconnect with that. And for me, that's the same. So there's a lot more to that, which we're going to talk about, but like that's it. Connecting and reconnecting back to your zone of genius, and knowing what's in your lane.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, because I would say the same thing, but the only thing I would add to that is like start an evidence journal if you don't have one. Because in the moments where you're starting to doubt yourself and that voice in your head is telling you all the blah, 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 whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you have some sort of journal and you can look at it and it's
Mm-hmm.
all the cool crap you've done and all of the amazing results you've gotten people and the awesome things that you've done in your business, and you start to read some of that. There's studies that show if you read something positive for 90 seconds, you're going to flip that around. So if you're in
Mm-hmm.
this, oh, I can't do anything, what's wrong with me, why isn't this working, all of that state, just
Mm-hmm.
90 seconds of reading your list of awesome stuff, you'll be amazed at what it'll do. And that's just a little tip. And I know we're going to get into more, but
Yeah.
gosh, it's just
Well, yeah,
it's
that's one of like the steps, for
yeah.
me. I totally agree, and I don't remember. Like, I mean, everyone knows. I think that we work together, right? I don't
Yeah.
remember if this was something that we were doing or not. What's working? Yeah, we did
What's
that.
working? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Same thing. I call it what's working. Your what's working journal, and because reconnecting every day to that, and then again, you have the proof. You have a journal showing you everything that is working in your life, in your business. Because it's very easy to get off of that and to start comparing yourself, judging yourself, doubting yourself, believing that, even though everyone else knows you're awesome, you just tell yourself you're a big piece of crap and you don't actually know what you're doing, right?
Right. Right. What's the whole I coulda, shoulda, woulda, all of those horrible words that just get in your way. And it's like you're throwing obstacles in your own way. You're creating your own mess by not finally getting control and crushing this imposter syndrome. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so, oh gosh, where can I start? And by the way, hello, Renee. You said hello in the comments there. And if you're still with us here, and anyone else that is with us or joining via replay too, would love to just, as we're talking, I know whether you're willing to talk about it or not, we know that you have dealt with this, are dealing with it, or both. So, please feel free to share your own experiences and questions as we go through this, because I know we were just talking before we started, like I think like 99% of the people I coach, they don't necessarily tell me this is why they're coming, but this is why they're coming to me. So yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say excited to talk about imposter syndrome because it's not like an exciting topic, but at the same time, I know it's something that for so many of you is stopping you in your business. And it's like stopping you, paralyzing you. So yeah.
The same thing you talked about just in business, and I'll just bring in the video perspective, right? How many out there, I know I talk all the time to the folks in my group or in my programs that they're like, well, I had every intention of going live. I had it planned, and then just stuff comes up and things come up. And when I start picking out, well, what came up? Well, and then it's like you said, underneath all of that, right? Of course, there's all sorts of reasons, but underneath all of it is some sort of block on. Nobody's going to be on. Nobody's going to be watching. Nobody cares. That's all imposter syndrome peeking its ugly little head out. So.
Yeah. And telling yourself, ultimately, like these stories that you like tell yourself, it's kind of insane, and you believe them, right? Because you don't feel like it's just a story. You feel like it is your reality. Right. And it really just, yeah. Well, 100% agree with everything.
Here's the really trippy thing, and I know most of the people in my groups know that my husband is struggling with his health, and I know so many people that are in your group are aware of it as well, and he just struggles with just debilitating anxiety, and it's I don't want to get into it, but one of the things we were talking about just the other day, he said, it's like I'm not in control of my own brain, and it's telling me things, and it's my brain. So why wouldn't I believe my brain? My brain's telling me this, right? But the reality is your brain has a role, and part of its role is to keep you safe. And so it's telling you those things as a way to keep you safe and keep you small and keep you back here. And it all dates back to prehistoric saber-toothed tigers and all that craziness, right? But the hard part is, and I think we all deal with this, is we think, well, it's me. It's my brain. I'm telling me this, therefore it must be true. And the reality is, it's not.
It's not. It's a story, but it feels very true. So let's just we'll acknowledge that, right? We'll acknowledge like it feels very true, but it isn't. It isn't. And like so many of you also deal with anxiety, which is, I mean, ultimately a symptom of the imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah. Because they're connected for sure.
The more you tell yourself these stories, the more anxious you feel, the more you don't want to go live, the more you don't want to make the sales call or the pitch or send the DM and do the things. And it's literally stopping you. And the thing is you are actually probably really amazing at what you do. Like 99% of you probably are freaking just brilliant.
Almost knocked my water over.
You're so great that Jenny. Oh, wait, what's
Jenny? Who's Jenny?
Who's Jenny? I don't even know.
Oh, goodness. I love I don't know if you see the comment there about it always comes up at the most inopportune times. Isn't that the truth?
Not in all of the groups. Yeah. Absolutely. That's I could come up with some stories. I'm sure not even come up with. I have some stories, both myself and my own clients. And I know when we first started, we wanted, you mentioned like, let's talk about our own experiences with it. And I think, just from the perspective of I've been through it, I know that you have too, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm happy to share that because the thing is I think it's something that's not talked about enough. And I was actually, you're talking about this in my mastermind group because one of our members is starting to focus more on mental health and what she's doing, and it's never really been something that she's brought to the forefront. And the thing is this is part of like mental health. It is mental health, and it's not talked about enough. And everybody, and I know that's a big generalization, but a lot of people are out there saying, just touting like how good their business is and how amazing they are and life is perfect. And, I'm traveling to Bali and this and that. And trust me, we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of talking about how amazing our lives are and how amazing our businesses are. But in the background, I guarantee you, every single one of those people that's out there talking about how amazing their life is has dealt with this in some fashion at some point in their business, some at
Or is
varying
currently,
levels,
or is
or
currently.
currently, or
Yeah,
currently.
and that's just a
Exactly.
mask that's being put on. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that
it's not
everything's
it's
great.
not being talked about, and I think, it needs to be talked about first and foremost to normalize it, to understand that other people are going through it and dealing with it too. And I think, sometimes too, the more that you have that sense of camaraderie, right? Like, oh, I'm not alone, the easier it is to manage it, to deal with it, and to also recover from it. Because when you
Right.
know you're not alone in it, there's just something about that feeling, right? Of knowing like, oh, they get it.
Well, and you can learn from them, right? If we start talking about how each and every one of us has dealt with this or is currently dealing with this, then it
Mhm,
opens up this dialogue of, okay, well, what are you doing? And will that work for me? And can I try that? And will that help? Like, aren't we all supposed to be here,
mhm,
especially us women? I'm
right,
just going to say it, to have each other's backs and support each other and help lift each other up. Like, isn't that what we all want?
mhm,
Yet we don't talk about the hard stuff. And if we look at it, like you were saying, it as a way of getting the word out and changing the stereotypes that are out there, and look at it like maybe my story can actually help somebody else.
mhm.
Oh, there's so much power in that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really, you don't recognize the power of your own voice, your own stories,
Right.
and how they impact people. And I know in both of our worlds, like, we talk about that, like, obviously from like the video perspective, you talk about the story, and yeah, like the hook and everything else, but
Right.
it also, it's a hook because it is drawing people in, and it's
Right.
drawing people in because they can relate, right? So I don't know, do you want to talk about any of your own experiences? I'm happy to jump in as well with some of mine.
I mean, the one I think that many people have already heard, but I'll share it again because I think it's important. When I first started, I was moving from this space of being in corporate training and being
Mhm,
on huge stages, 5,000 people. And now, granted, the first time I puked in the bathroom, but after I got comfortable, I could handle that, right? And now, flash forward, I'm starting my business. At the time when I started, I was doing public speaking coaching, and I had to go live for the first time. And I'm thinking, I got this. Like, of course I can do this. And I was a nervous wreck. And as soon as that video was over, I slam the laptop down, I go run in my bed, and I literally laid in bed under the covers with that imposter syndrome just running rampant. Just constantly telling me about how that was horrible and this is awful and what are you doing and who are you and these people are going to laugh at you and they're going to make fun, and it just on and on and on. For 2 hours I laid there. And finally, when I got up the nerve to be like, well, I better face the music, right? Like, I might as well just deal with how bad this is, this chaotic mess I've created. And I remember peeking at the laptop, being like, okay, how bad is it? How bad? And none of it had happened. It was all in here. It was all I call her Gertrude. It was all Gertrude telling me all of these horrible things that were going on. I lost 2 hours. And
mhm,
like for me, that was the moment where I said, no more. Like, I have got to get control of her, and I can't let her derail me like that
mhm,
all the time. And luckily at that time it happened after I had gone live. But I know for a lot of people it happens before. You can't
mhm,
even hit the button because that voice is just going off. Why does
mhm.
my camera keep doing this? It's driving me absolutely nuts.
You have an external webcam, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
mine
it
does
just
that too.
started.
Sometimes it's like the focus if you move too fast. Don't move. Don't move.
Well, that's like impossible, Lori. Anyway, I share that story because I think that was a moment where my own brain got the best of me and told me all of these horrible things that were happening, and none of them were there. And I think so often with imposter syndrome, it's not even remotely close. There's always some sort of message or intent, I believe, underneath it that we're supposed to learn. Like, there's a reason it's saying this. I'm supposed to learn something, but don't take it at face value. Like in my case,
Mhm,
yes, I needed to get control of my nerves, and I needed to boost my
mhm,
confidence, and I needed to work on some of those things. But the fact that my brain was telling me that was horrible, you're awful. I mean, it's just blown out so overboard. And the truth is in there. You got to dig through it. And there may be something in there that you need to work on, or a message that's in there, but it's not it's not word for word correct. And I think
Yeah.
that's important to know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you, by the way, for sharing that. And I know like exactly what you're saying, and I'm just trying to remember the details of this story. I don't remember the details, so I'm just going to kind of say the punchline ultimately. But I know I have a client, and this was probably like a month ago. We figured out, that how much time, because you said something about like you wasted 2 hours, right?
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours. She was spending probably a good 5 hours a day in a space of just like panic, paralyzation, not knowing, because one of the things like we were trying to deal with was the fact that she just felt like she was so busy, and she had so much going on, and her schedule was so full. And don't get me wrong, like, yeah, she had a lot on her calendar, but when we actually like went through it, like there isn't that much here. And it's because she was literally like just spinning her wheels, and that's because she was judging, doubting, like in this cycle, and just like, okay, I want to do this post, okay, crap, I have to change this, I have to do that, I have to make it perfect, I need to send it to Lori to have her approve it, I have to do this, like just like when you add up the amount of time every day that you're spending wasting. And the thing is this is your body's, like your nervous system, your body's way of protecting you, right? Because it's thinking, okay, I'm stressed, so it like puts up these things, or this feels scary or unsafe, like the going live or sending a message to somebody for the first time, or whatever in your world that is. But this is why it's literally stopping you in your world. So whether it's in your business, sometimes it may even be in your life, especially I know with moms. I mean, I am not a mom, but I hear people talking about mom guilt, and just how they're constantly judging themselves for every little thing that they do as a parent. So it presents itself in so many different ways. And I know for me, I mean, it's presented itself in so many ways, but I think of one that a lot of people can probably resonate with is, so when I first started out in the like online coaching space, the way I generated leads was I sent messages to people. I used Instagram primarily. I connected with people, I sent messages, and some people might have called it cold DMs. I don't consider it cold DMs, because I was actually like making an effort to connect with people that I genuinely liked what they were posting, and I wanted to make a genuine connection. But then this whole like big thing about cold DMs and how awful they are, and oh my God, I mean, if you're doing DMs, you are just like a horrible fucking person.
You must be awful. What are you doing? Yeah.
And I had made, I mean, I was making 10,000 plus a month doing this, right? I was successful. I had taught clients to do this. It was good. But then I started to get into my own head and judge myself and make it wrong.
Based on other people's, not even your own feeling. Based on,
because I'm like, oh, well, they don't do that, and they say that sending DMs is bad, so what I'm doing must be wrong.
Bad.
Yeah, I am bad. And I started to tell myself these stories about how life goes, how things, not how life goes, but how business should go, and how it's going for other people, and how this person out there is making $50,000 a month, and they say that they would never send a DM, and all of these people that I'm seeing on my feed, they say that it's horrible, and oh, I hate cold DMs, and people that send them are just spammers and this and that. And again, I knew that I wasn't sending a cold DM, but yet I had convinced myself that what I was doing was wrong, was bad. I was judging myself, and I was so paralyzed that like I went from sending probably 15 messages a day at least to people to like 0. Like I couldn't even bring it, because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say to people, because I was judging every single word that came out of my mouth. And I went from, I said, making 10 to 15,000 a month to making like maybe a couple thousand.
Yeah.
Because I stopped offering calls. I stopped putting offers out there. I stopped doing the things that I knew worked in my business because I had convinced myself that I didn't actually know what I was doing, that what I was doing was wrong. And it was many months of a downward spiral of not making that kind of money. And that was even more defeating because then I'm like, well, shit, what am I doing? I'm a coach who helps people to get more clients, and now I can't even get my own clients, right? So it was just like this horrible space. So I went from being really successful to like, and it took a while, honestly, for me to come out of that. And it's honestly when I discovered tapping as well, because that has been something that's been very helpful for me too.
Me too.
And it's something that I do now in my daily, like, and because I know when I stop doing it,
it all creeps back up. Yeah.
back in. So I do it every day. It's literally on my calendar.
I had somebody go, you do this every day? Why would you do it every day? I'm like, why not? It does. Why not? It helps. It works. If it works for me, and listen, everybody's got to find the thing that works for them. That might not work for everybody, but it works for me. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, go ahead.
One of the things you said in that story, and thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable with us. But one of the things you said in there somewhere was, it's not perfect. How connected do you feel imposter syndrome and perfectionism? Like, how are they connected in your mind?
They're basically married.
You're in a significant relationship.
Basically married.
Does one feed the other, do you think? Or is it, what's the connection?
Or mama and baby? I don't know.
Mom and baby.
Well, mama feeds the baby.
Maybe they're BFFs. Maybe that's it. Who knows? The point is there's a connection, right? Like this need to be perfect. It's almost like you get into this chicken or the egg situation. My need to be perfect drives the imposter syndrome, or just my imposter syndrome drive my need to be perfect, and everything having to be perfect. And I think that's one of the best things that I've learned from you in our time together is it doesn't have to be perfect in order to work.
Perfect doesn't exist, in fact. Like, and trust me, like I have to convince myself of that sometimes every day. But it does not exist. And the faster we can let go of that, the better, because it is. I mean, I actually, in preparation for our live, I had just kind of like looked up like the like
definition,
signature symptoms or whatever. And so supposedly perfectionism is a symptom of imposter syndrome.
There we go. Okay.
But it could also be argued that it's also a cause. So like you said, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Because the thing is the more you judge yourself, the more that perfectionism comes in, the more you convince yourself, well, it has to be perfect because this person, they're so successful. And let me tell you, by the way, they're people you think are successful. Okay. Sometimes you have no idea. Remember what we were saying about everybody's kind of putting on that mask, their front, and some of them really, really are. But like these people that you've convinced yourself are so, so successful. You're like, they are perfect. It's amazing. The way they do it, I want to do it that way. So then you change everything you're doing. You scrap everything that you were doing that you knew that worked to do what someone else does. And this comes like full circle back to what I was saying about working in your zone of genius, because your perfectionism tells you, well, I have to do it that way. And then you spend all of your time trying to make it perfect, just like they do. And then you launch an offer, or you do this or you do that, and it flops. And they're like, but they're making millions doing this. Why can't I make it? It's because you're convincing yourself that you have to have it perfect, and they're perfect, and that's what you're shooting for, and you do everything to be perfect, to be just like them, but it's not you.
It's not you.
It's not
and
you.
If it's not you, it's never gonna come through as you, and it's not gonna attract the right people. It's going to people can pick up on that when you're not being yourself, when you're not being real. And let's just for a second, I don't remember if this was your post, Lori, if I saw it somebody else, but somebody that I follow was talking about how there are people out there, coaches out there that teach their people to add a 0 to their numbers. So if they're making, if they're making $2,000 a month, add a 0. I'm making $20,000 a month. There are coaches out there that teach this as a practice. So just because somebody's out there saying, I'm all successful and I'm, I always think of that. I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if it's a reel or a post, but like this person looks like they're in a private jet and then they pan out and it's all fake. It's not like real. Like that really exists. People are making up these photos and making up these claims. And the sad part in all of that is they're being taught to do this by somebody they admire. To your point, they think that's the way, right? This is the perfect way. So you cannot believe it. And it's just, it's sick and it's disgusting, but it's real. And
wow. Yeah, exactly. Emily said, what? That's terrible. Like, yeah, like I'm a little bit in shock too.
I know. That wasn't your post, was it? It was somebody else's. But when I read that, I was like, what? Yeah. Add a 0.
Add a 0.
Add a 0 to whatever you're making. And like even your claims, like if you say I can, 10x your business or whatever, well, maybe your proof is only 1x, but you're going to add a 0 to that. Like it's disgusting, but it's real. But so now to your point, you're seeing these other people and you're buying into, I need to be like them, and they're lying. They're not even telling you the truth. And so now you're trying to copy somebody that's not even real. It's just so.
At least that's so good coaching.
I know.
Not.
I know. How can they sleep at night? That's what I want to know. But apparently they sleep in their $1 million bed. I don't know, but.
Well, the thing is that tells you that they're doing it too.
Exactly.
So they're not making that much either. They probably are adding 2 zeros to this.
Right.
But yeah, that is the world that we live in. And that's why I think it is so important for us to have these conversations, to tell our own stories, to be vulnerable, to share that these things actually do come up for us as well. Because otherwise we're in this little bubble of thinking that these people that are telling people to add zeros are like, that's reality. And I also know some others in the online space that, that sell like templates. And we've all seen a lot of these color block posts and, people talking about what they do. But have you ever noticed that some of them are exactly the same? Like literally, like I know like there is one big person. No, it's not just her. I actually know a couple of people this has happened to in the last year, like where they're making like close to $1 million and people are literally stealing their exact copy, their results, their client results, and posting them as their own. Like word for word. Some people actually sell that and tell people to do that, but other people are just stealing it for free.
And deep down, if you really think about it, the reason they're stealing that is because they have imposter syndrome themselves. Yep. They have imposter syndrome about their own results. So the only way that they can feel good about themselves is if they lie, which is just, that is a head trip, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's like the world is actually like designed to create this, like to make it possible to like create this ecosystem of making people just feel like fucking shit about themselves. And excuse my language, everybody, but
you're fired up.
Obviously something I'm passionate about.
I love when Lori gets fired up.
Because it's just like there's so many lies happening. And I want to say this actually happened a few years ago that I recognized. Someone said something to me, and I had like some good feedback, like in a video, like testimonial from a client, and they're like, well, you should put that in a like a text message generator or whatever. I don't know what you even call it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, so you can give like the social proof and do the screenshots of the messages. You can create fake messages. There's sites out there where you can literally create like fake messenger and like text messages. So like those screenshots of social proof, you can't even trust those anymore. And I still share them of my own, but mine are real. But yeah.
And you know what? Here's the thing. And listen, I'm going to speak very nicely about AI because at some point I recently heard, where were we talking about this? It's going to kill us eventually. We all know it's going to kill us, but at least for now, let's take advantage of all that AI can offer us. Like that, it's like this. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? So I want to speak nicely to it because you just never know. But this is what's scary about AI. That AI is going to be able to take that power, and in the wrong hands, look at what can be done. It's just.
I don't know who
Have you
posted
seen
that. Sorry,
Terminator?
Emily.
It's going
Emily,
to
you better
happen.
not kill us.
It is going to take over. The machines are going to take over.
Right.
It may be in the
We joke
future.
about it, but honestly, like, is that so far off?
No. Look what it
Yeah.
can do now. Look
Yeah.
what it is doing now.
Yeah. And like you look at some like old movies and stuff of like things they predicted in the future, and then you're like,
Yeah.
that's already happening. If people can predict it, it's probably going to happen sooner than you can even imagine.
I like this. Let's all go. Let's all go to that island.
I've got to show this. We'll find an island and fight them off. Yes.
Just us. All of us who would never lie, steal, cheat. All just us. All on an island.
Just the honest people on an
Honest people. And you know, like you said, Lori, back to the whole imposter syndrome thing, it makes it worse because we are comparing ourselves to something that we don't even realize isn't real, and it's making us feel worse about ourselves. And again, I say, why are we not helping support and pump each other up and talking about reality and talking about the hard stuff? And we need more of that. That's the only way that we're going to start to shift the world, the whole world. Not only are we going to go on an island and fight them off, we are going to change the world. Just us, all of us. We're going to do it.
Yeah. And I want to just like bring up something too, like, because it just like what you said just prompted it. I think, we've had this shift the last, at least especially the last year, but probably the last couple of years, more into this like feminine style of marketing, right?
Yeah.
We're nicer, we're not poking on the pain points. But instead of poking on the pain points and doing the masculine thing, you're just straight up lying. Like there's women out there that are just straight up lying. So like, I don't know. I would honestly rather just have someone tell me you're not like just like poke at my pain points, you know.
It's like the least bad. Pick the least bad of the two, right? I don't know which one's worse.
Yeah. It's kind of like Mean Girls, you know, like just.
I was just gonna say, because girls, I mean, I'm sorry, we can be catty. We can be. There's a whole. Isn't there multiple Mean Girl movies? Isn't there more than one? I mean, there's a whole. Or is there just one? Is there just? Did they only make one?
I think so. The original one with like Lindsay Lohan, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe what I'm thinking is the whole idea behind Mean Girls has been in every movie ever. Yeah,
and it's the whole idea of so many places. Many places. Because it's so real. And the online business space is like Mean Girls. It really is. There's
except on our private island. Except on our private island where that is not tolerated. We're only here to support and Oh, if only that were possible, right? But I mean, honestly, it is possible. It is possible to tune your antennae, so to speak, so that you can say, this is crap, I'm not going to believe this. And to not even begin to compare yourself to everybody else. Just be who you are. Compare yourself to you, right? The only person you need to be better than is you from 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's the only one you need to be better at. So stop.
Yeah. And the thing is, you don't need to say, oh, I used to do this or I used to do that. And, oh, I can't because I never did this before. Not that kind of comparison, but that bitch from 5 minutes ago, she's got to go.
She's got to go.
Yeah.
She has got to go, right? I mean, that's what I like I said earlier, the voice in my head, I name her Gertrude so that I can tell her to go. I regularly send her to the coffee shop or tell her, not right now. I cannot right now. I'm focused on something. And it's amazing what you can tell your brain to do and not to do when you just give it a name and you say, bye-bye. That's right. Last week, Emily is gone. Put that one up. That's good.
The door, right? She's gone. We're not even thinking about her.
Put that chat up so everybody can see it.
There we go.
Got to go. Last week,
Emily's gone. She's out of here.
Gotta go.
And apparently there is a musical version on Broadway of Mean Girls. So that's the other version that you're thinking about, Jamie.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Or maybe just in real life, there are mean girls out there, right?
There are. There's so many mean girls. And the thing is, we have to stop assuming that they all know better than you, that they're all telling the truth. You need to just stay in your lane. Like when you stay in your lane and you put blinders on.
Yes.
Right? Like just the blinders, because they don't matter. Whatever what we're saying, I mean, right now, today, it does matter. But what we're saying really doesn't matter. Don't compare yourself against me, against Jamie, about where we are, what we're doing, because it's irrelevant. You just need to focus on yourself, because the thing is you are a freaking badass. You are amazing at what you do. And you are letting all of this stuff from other people come in and just like wash you out. You're telling yourself that you don't matter. You're telling yourself that you don't know what you're doing, and you are literally crippling yourself. And the worst part is not only are you doing yourself a disservice, but you're doing the world a disservice.
Yeah.
When you let this control you. It's normal. It happens. It happens to the best of us, honestly.
I think the best case scenario is, I think about Gertrude, and I think about Gertrude from 6 months ago to today. She's so much more quiet. She's not nearly as loud and obnoxious, and she's just not a pain in my ass as much as she used to be. Is she ever going to go away? I hope so. But it's over time. And the more that you start to put the blinders on, the more that you start to stay focused, the more that you send Gertrude to the coffee shop and you say, I'm not going to listen to this. I'm only going to compare to myself in a healthy way. The more control you get over this imposter syndrome. That's how you crush it. You crush your imposter syndrome by controlling it. And by deciding, that's the key word, deciding.
Everything is a choice. You choose.
You're deciding what you're going to listen to, what you're going to believe, what you're going to attract. It's a decision point. And once you get clear on that, oh my gosh, things can totally change for you and your business.
Yeah. And I just want to share one more story. And it's not my story necessarily. Well, not necessarily. It's not my story. But I think it's one that is important to share. And this is actually like my own mentor. Like this happened to her. And she's multi-million. And she's not adding zeros. Like she's legitimately doing this shit, and actually like even hit her first $1 million month last month. $1 million in a month. But when she started out her business, I think she started in like 2018 or whatever. Like she started out like hot out the gate. Like her first month made $30,000. Because she was just so excited about helping, about coaching, and she was just in it for the service. And then she hired this big name. It really, or I don't even know if I don't remember if she hired her or she had a discovery call or whatever.
Yeah.
But like this successful coach who she just idolized, right? And just thought like, well, she knows this. And this coach said, oh, well, I would never do free calls and I would never do this. And she was, the way that she got to $30,000 is like, she just offered as many free calls as she could because she just wanted to help people, and they converted into clients and they paid her.
Right.
But then she got in her head that, oh,
can't do that.
Oh, well, I can't do that because she's selling $20,000 coaching packages. She is the bomb. She's successful. I can't do that. And then a few years later, she saw a post from this coach saying that in 2018, which is when this happened, she only made like less than $30,000 the entire year.
All lies. And she made
more than her in 1 month. Actually, I think it was like 20,000 in a year, because she had made more than her in 1 month than that person had made in the entire year. And she had convinced herself, and she had after that had several months where she just like didn't make hardly anything.
Right.
A couple thousand. Because she had convinced herself that someone else knew better
than what she felt and what she knew to do. Isn't that, and that's the terrifying part.
So the thing is, stay in your lane. Don't give a shit. Don't worry about other people. Make the decision to say, I don't care what that person says they're doing or not doing. Last week, Emily is gone. She has arrived, and I am going to fucking beat this shit. I'm going to crush this imposter syndrome and do this. Find the things, whether, again, if it's you, if it's meditation, if it's tapping, if it's walking, if it's whatever it is.
Kickboxing.
Kickboxing, the
Whatever.
thing that works for you to clear that energy, because it will keep you where you are. It will keep you from growing. It will keep you from having the things that you want in your life. And all it is a bunch of fucking stories that you're telling yourself. You have no idea what is truth, what's not truth that other people are saying. You can control yourself.
Yep.
That's it. So that's my that's my party word.
We make it sound like it's so easy. Just believe in yourself. I get that it's hard. It's hard. It takes practice, and it is a practice, but it is possible. You just have to don't give up. I posted a quote earlier this week. It was Cyndi Lauper, and it was about, it's not over until it's over, and you get to decide when it's over, and it's only over when you quit. So as long as you don't quit, as long as you keep going and keep practicing and keep doing all of these things, it will get there. The sooner that you make that decision to believe in yourself and believe in where you're going, then it goes faster.
Yeah. Your self-worth, your view of yourself, that's honestly going to be probably 99% of your success right there. Choosing that you are going to make it work, that you're going to do this, and that Gertrude doesn't matter. Screw Gertrude.
Screw Gertrude. I hope there's not a Gertrude watching. That's why I named her that, so there would never be any kind of crossover.
Oh, I just saw this. Sorry, I just scrolled down. I just wanted to put this up on the screen real quick.
No kidding.
Can we go to their elementary school and do a talk about Mean Girls and how they suck? Yes. And tell us where to go. We're there.
The boys can be just as bad. They can be just as bad. But typically it is the Mean Girls. Yes.
It usually is.
Gertrude is the name of the voice in my head. The voice in your head that is constantly telling you all of the crap that you shouldn't believe. Name it. I name her Gertrude so that I can tell her off. I even have a picture of what Gertrude looks like.
I saw Gert the other day. I met Gert.
So I can visualize her and be like, Gertrude, out, go. No place for you today. It just makes it easier, right? It makes it easier than telling yourself to shut up. That seems weird. But if I tell Gertrude to shut up, she shuts up.
So everybody should have a Gert.
Yeah. And I know we didn't put that on screen. Those of you that are watching are like, what? There was a comment that came through that said, who is Gertrude? Sorry.
Why did you just randomly change? Since we're streaming in multiple places, yes, we have to remember that not everybody sees all of the comments.
Right. Oh, too funny.
But honestly, yes, we talk about it like it's so easy, and
it's not.
And we know that it's not. But it's absolutely something that both of us help people with, and we've dealt with it ourselves, and we help a lot of people to do it. To overcome their imposter syndrome, and not even overcome. No, to crush it. To know how to crush it when it comes up, because it's going to happen more than once. So when you have the tools, when you have the mindset, the mentality, the ability to crush it every time and to make that choice, your success is inevitable.
Yep. You just can't believe it.
So yes, if you have any questions, reach out to us. And if you're watching the replay, go ahead, pop your questions in the comments, and we will absolutely come back.
Yeah, you know.
And otherwise, thank you for tuning in.
And everybody in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving week.
To those in the U.S. and happy Black Friday to everybody worldwide, because apparently, even though it's a U.S. holiday, it has become a worldwide thing. And we both have, well, you had Pink Friday, but it's technically your Black Friday deal too.
Yeah, it was a special
going on.
Yeah, I still have Black Friday. In fact, I think we're both working on some cool stuff. So stay tuned. More to come from both of us later today. On Black Friday stuff.
Yeah,
we're both of us were scrambling to get it done before this live, and neither of us got it done.
It's like, screw it, I'll just wait. So
see, right back there. Doesn't have to be perfect. And you don't beat yourself up because it doesn't meet your timeline. You adjust and you go, and you don't worry about it.
Actually, the more you simplify, the more you just let go of that perfectionism and the imposter syndrome, the more things are going to change.
I like that.
Okay.
Up and away.
Yes, up and away. So happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. Watch out for our Black Friday deals. Well, I think I released mine. I just need to send out the email. So if you have questions, reach out to us.
Bye everybody.